mics, if you're or your phones or whatever else you got going on in the background. But welcome to everyone to the Denver Bronco Roundup. I am your host Keith Brugman. I'll have Jody Moncrief on here. I'll have Trevor Salzman on here. I just want to say real quick before we say hi to them, we are brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network and sponsored by Willow Seasonings and Blends. I'll welcome, I guess, our newest member first, Trevor. Welcome in, sir. Welcome Broncos country. And how you doing, bud? Got to be feeling good.
Oh yeah, no doubt, feeling good, Keith. Thanks for having me on, and hello to Broncos country. And we got to win. Can't hear about anything about that, right? Broncos win, and we're just moving forward with momentum. This team. It's interesting. This team came back. We all thought this might be a loss into one of the worst teams in the NFL, and Broncos ended up coming back and showing a little bit of a resiliency here. So hopefully going forward, we can build on that.
Yeah, sure would be nice, man. It's nice to get one. Jody, when he first jumped on, before anybody else jumped in here, he asked me what's up. I said the Broncos in the win column, and Jody got a little bit of a chuckle, and he's happy. He's loving being here. We all love being here after a win. So, Jody, welcome everybody in, buddy.
Welcome. Good to get in the win column. Seen a lot of bad, seen some good, and hopefully we can build off of that good.
Hopefully we build off of that good, man. Like you said, it all has got to start someplace. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to jump in like right off the bat, man. I'll bring it back around to you, Jody, man. This first half, I'll be honest, I think we were even in the chats a little bit. I think everyone was a little bit down. This Broncos team looked like they got off the plane from Miami directly and went right back onto the field. Wasn't looking good on offense, maybe other than an opening drive that didn't look too bad. But the defense looked like the same defense, man. Tell me about your feelings and what you saw going on in the first half, Jody, and then we'll bring it around to Trevor as well.
Just a quick recap. I think they looked lost. They weren't getting any pressure on field. Even PS2, he looked lost. Safety play has been horrible the last 2 weeks. It was horrible again. Really, the only two guys I seen making plays were, there's probably three: Nick Bonito and Cooper, and Alex Singleton was making some plays. Other than that, I didn't see a lot from anyone in the first half.
Yeah, it was rough, man. Just looked out of sorts is the best. You said it well. No one looked good. Play was bad. Safety play was really bad. There's a few guys stepping up here and there, but when you go into halftime and it's 21-7, you're not looking too good at that point. Trevor, your first half assessment, I guess, is the best way to put it. Oh, before we do that, real quick, just want to jump on the comments. Just got a couple real quick. David Slade coming in saying, how's everyone's blood pressure after that roller coaster of a ride? Great way to put it, buddy, because, man, that was a tall hill that we went down before we went back up. And then Ernie Mays, good friend of the show, appreciate you jumping in here, says, awesome win, go Broncos country only. Absolutely, Ernie, thank you so much for joining. Always good to see you. I want to hear what Trevor has to say on that first half, though.
Oh, well, guys, kind of like, the recipe for success, kind of a complete game. Broncos past couple games, their second half has been their biggest downfall. They've not played very well in the second half, and it's kind of flipped the script a little bit this time around in the first half. They just looked lost, like you said, like Jody said out there, and they didn't look like they wanted to be there. And, kind of the Caleb Williams hype was kind of going around Broncos country, and, but they were able to pull together the second half, and just kind of pull out the win. But we thought it was going to be an embarrassing loss the first half, and just all around bad football. And you don't like to see that. At some point in time, they're going to have to start putting these games together for both first half and second half. And luckily they pulled it out this time around. But again, and Sean Payton has said this multiple times, that they're going to have to start playing complete football. While this win is very good for Broncos country and for the team, going forward, they're going to start playing like teams like the Chiefs and stuff like that. You just cannot continue to put together just halves. Got to be complete game. And so I thought first half, just learning, hopefully, and hopefully the learning to put together more complete second halves going forward. But hopefully they can work out the first half kinks a little bit more consistently.
Yeah. Like I said, I was down on this team. They were not looking good. To just kind of emphasize that once again, we win the coin flip. We've been doing really well that way. Deferred, got the ball in the second half, came out, did not score points, end up going down 28-7. It wasn't until 4 minutes in the third quarter before really everything started clicking. And boy, did it start clicking quick then, because we were talking about then about 19 minutes left in this overall game, and it turned around in a hurry. And I just want to say this before I get to you guys. I think in my mind, this was the perfect game. From the minute the first whistle blew till the final whistle blew. And this is why. This is the type of game this team needed, where they faced the adversity. And unlike any of the other games that they've had this year, it was the second half. It was the second half. It was even failing to coming out in the third quarter, and having to get, digging yourself even deeper, and then, putting all that load on your shoulder and saying, it's not going to end this way. This is not how this team is going to go down. We still have a chance. And fighting tooth and nail, offense and defense, in order to get this win, man, I couldn't have scripted it any better. I think it's exactly what the Broncos need, even if it's against the Chicago Bears, one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL right now. That being said, Jody, I'll start back around with you. That second half, like I said, didn't come out the gate all that great, but boy, did we turn it on. And what did we see, man? What did we see?
We've seen a couple things. We've seen Russ put this team on his back, lead them to three scoring drives, really. And the field goal as well. And we've seen Peyton maybe out in the not having a choice really, but he had to play McLaughlin at running back. And although this guy does make mistakes, and you've seen it one time picking up blitz pickup, he just got bulldozed and got Russ just lit up. Mm-hmm. He is explosive out of the backfield. He stops on a dime, makes great plays. This guy's got to find the field. You've got to be, if Peyton is this offensive guru, like everyone claims, he's got to get creative and find ways to get this guy on the field. And our passers, Benito and Cooper. Benito with the sack, Cooper strip sack, Cooper for the touchdown, something we haven't seen from the D all year. And then the bad, where is Randy Gregory? I mean, you're paying him $70 million. He didn't even start this game. Nick Benito was starting.
Mm-hmm. I
caught chatter a little bit, but I never did get a definitive why he is not starting. And this is Mike McGlinchey, figure out what the snap count is and learn it, because he had probably 2 or 3. Lloyd Cushenberry had one. Bowles had one. These pre-snap penalties are killing you. 4th and 1, you get it, bumps you back to 4th and 6. I mean, there's just time after time. This is mental stuff that you have to, that I think Sean Payton, I think that is, if they work on anything this week, is these mental penalties, these self-inflicted penalties.
Sean Payton came out in the press presser, and said these penalties have got to stop. We have got to get better when it comes to these. Made that a point. But I also want to make that a point as well. Garrett Bowles, false start, sets them back. We still end up converting. We end up getting a touchdown in that series. Mike McGlinchey, false start, sets us back. We end up getting a touchdown on that series. These are things that the Denver Broncos weren't doing in games past. You got a false start penalty, you go that far back, it was implosion time. It just never, we weren't able to get it. And this team rose above that, and they played beyond that. In like you said, only a handful of penalties when it came to that. Mike McGlinchey with a couple. He had one in the first half that that obviously didn't help us out. Cushenberry just didn't get set before he snapped the ball. So, that was an easy one for the refs, but nonetheless, but like I said, overcoming those penalties, second half, still getting touchdowns in those drives. That's exactly what I was looking for. Trevor, I know you were looking in the second half, hoping, praying like most of Broncos country. Hopefully, still tuned in like most of Broncos country. It sounded like they were pretty loud there in Chicago. And what did you see, man, that second half as we turn it around?
Well, I think we've seen something different from our defense side of the ball. I mean, before they've broke, the whole bending but not breaking. Well, it's been the opposite with the defense this past couple of games, and now you're starting to see they were bending, but they did not break. That Chicago Bears, they stopped the Chicago Bears on fourth down right there. That's huge right there. I mean, if you don't stop Chicago Bears, I don't know if we're talking about a Broncos W here. And when it comes to the offense side of the ball, they put 24 points together in the second half. I didn't hold the math, and that's something that you need. You need that consistency in the second half to finish the games, and it's really good to see the offense move the ball and play better as far as not creating penalties for themselves, not hurting themselves. And so that was really good to see. I think we've seen the potential of this team really in the second half compared to the team in the first half. It's still a tale of two different teams from the first half to the second half. And if they can reach their potential and come together for one game, I think they're going to be better off. But right now, it's still mixed baggage in my opinion. But it's good to see them finish for the first time all season long and get the first win. But I think the story of it is, I think it's the defense and the offense putting it together completely to get this win out against the Bears.
Yeah, a complete win, at least in that second half, or a quarter and a half. You know what I mean? Or, I guess you mix in that first drive as well. Just wanted to point out we got they finally started tackling. That's from Tony Harris coming in on the chat line, so appreciate that a ton. This one's from Kenny. Said, "Good evening, fellas. Congrats on the win." Hey, and this is true. A win is a win. It's all that matters in the end. You can only play the team that's in front of you, as they say sometimes. So, hey, Chicago Bears, so be it. Like I said, I'm more impressed just in how they did it than who it was against. So I know it was the Chicago Bears, but it still takes some fortitude in order to get that done. And hats off to them. And Kenny just coming in saying, FYI, for those keeping score, NBC showed Taylor Swift once and Aaron Rodgers once. So don't know what the stat or the betting line on those were down in Vegas. But that being said, if you're keeping score, that's the score. Excuse me. I had a thought go through my head, and it went right through my head. So I'll go right back. And as Kenny says, from the little I see of the game, I would be very excited about Mims and McLaughlin. And yeah, we need to go back to Mims. Because here's a guy, as they pointed out, as I was listening, to the replay and to the show itself, or to the game itself. Here's a guy that might be an early leader for Rookie of the Year. And as Jody, as you pointed out, man, can't get on the field enough. Did he get on the field enough for you today?
He played more, but really, would he have the one big catch late to get in field goal range? I didn't see a lot from him. Now, if the reports are true that he's having trouble reading or learning the route tree and this and that, then either stay late and work on it, or find creative ways to get him the ball, because he's explosive.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that. A few screen passes out to Mims as well, as an option, easy way to get him involved, and he doesn't have to know a whole route tree. The guy is absolutely explosive, though. Light that he kept his head in the game, especially after a debacle on special teams as well. It's not just as Kenny, I think I put it up there. Maybe I dropped it back down. Mims and McLaughlin. Trevor, what was your thoughts on McLaughlin as he was kind of forced into this game? Hopefully everything's all right with Javonte Williams, as he kind of gave up on a play, tried out on the bike for a little while, they end up just not bringing him back in. We won't get any update from Sean Payton because that's Sean Payton. But what was your thoughts on McLaughlin as he took the field for the Broncos?
I think McLaughlin's a guy that needs more carries. I mean, we like Javonte Williams and everything, but again, he has an injury history. He's starting to really come up on him, and so I think McLaughlin, this is the guy that you brought in, in the off season, and he made the team. He did everything he possibly could to make the team, and you got to play him. I think I like him quite a bit, actually. I think that he's a guy that you don't have to invest in a necessarily first or second round pick in a running back. You can get those undrafted running backs in the league, and McLaughlin can be that guy for you. And I think the offensive line also did a better job at creating running lanes for McLaughlin as well. So I want to give shout out to the offensive line a couple of times. He got free a little bit, but I think McLaughlin, he just shows the depth this team has at running back, and I like him better than P. Ryan, honestly, in different ways. I think McLaughlin, he might need to be running back 2 behind Javonte Williams.
Yeah, you got to be starting to ratchet up. I was talking a little bit earlier on a show this morning, and I said, I expected a lot from P. Ryan, or not a lot, but I expected something from P. Ryan. Haven't really seen that. I know that his average is up there, but boy, it seems like when needed or necessary yards are needed from that running back position, and P. Ryan's called on, it hasn't necessarily panned out in his favor. Seems like guys like Javonte or McLaughlin are the guys that are carrying the load and getting the first downs when we need it. Leanna's coming in here and saying, "Hey guys, what a game! Good to have a good feeling to have a win. Let's keep the momentum going next week against the Jets." And yeah, absolutely. We would love to keep this momentum going. We'd love to keep this ride going and make this a turning point. Jody said he predicted an 8-win run before he got on here. Maybe he was a little bit excited at one point. He said, "This is one in the books." I told him there's a little bit of a murderer's row after the Jets, so we'll have to see. But it is. I really do believe. I even texted into KOA. I'm like, I think I saw a spark in the darkness today, guys. Now, can that flame, that we got going, can it burn past a couple of weeks? Can it burn this week? Can it burn past next week? Can it burn when we head off to Kansas City? That'll be the big question. I would love to see this start a fire underneath the Broncos and see them start to, really catch fire. If we're at 2-3 and have the chance to go 3-3 and it's against the Kansas City Chiefs and we win that game,
you're right back in
it. Boy, look out. It could be really, really exciting. And Tony Harris is coming in here. He's talking about Jaleel McLaughlin, obviously. He said he reminds me so much of Phillip Lindsay. A little bit of Phillip Lindsay. I would say I like the moves that McLaughlin has, too. He's just twitchy. He's super twitchy quick. Now, similarly, as Sean Payton pointed out in his post-presser, he's trying to find ways to get him on the field and not get him exposed like he was on one play when Russell Wilson ended up taking a sack. So I think he took a sack. If not, he certainly got leveled.
Two things I think he does much better than Lindsey. He catches the ball. Lindsey had bricks for hands, and he doesn't outrun his blockers. Phillip Lindsay was notorious for outrunning blockers. He didn't, and you can see McLaughlin. He kind of is slow, and then can hit that turbo speed, and then can stop on a dime. I mean, I watched him. He was probably 20 yards down the field and just stopped on a dime, let the guy go right in front of him, and away he went again. Yeah. I mean, that's impressive to me.
Yeah, and I'll say that play, and I just want to point out Jerry Jeudy too, when he had a play late in the game, good ball security. It's really easy to get stuck up in that play, not be thinking about all the people around you. He kept the ball wrapped up, so did Jeudy. What do you think about the comparison to McLaughlin to Phillip Lindsay, though?
I think that they're pretty comparable. I think there's obviously going to be some differences between the two. I would say with Phillip Lindsay, he was going to be the starter no matter what. And right now with McLaughlin, you have Javonte Williams, you have P. Ryan, so he's kind of getting caught behind both of those two. And so, I wonder, he's not. As of right now, he's not going to be able to put up the production that Lindsay was able to do because Broncos were so thin back in the day at running back with Phillip Lindsay. But with McLaughlin right now, it's just how can the Broncos give him the ball more? That's the thing. Are you going to – if Javonte's out, are you going to play McLaughlin over P. Ryan or P. Ryan can play over McLaughlin? You just got to make that decision. And I think if we see him get more carries, I think you're going to see him really shine more.
Yeah. It's true. We saw quite a bit going on, this game. It was kind of a standout game for a few different players, in my opinion. Like you said, offensive line played fantastic. Offensive line gave Russ time. Offensive line opened up holes. I didn't see Russ underneath a whole lot of pressure. man, it was just good to see that offensive line, especially come together in that second half. Uh, we had guys like Chris Manhertz out there catching passes for the first time. Little Jordan Humphreys came up big. Brandon Johnson, 3 touchdowns so far, I believe, on the year now. So, it was great performances all the way across the board in that second half. Trevor, I know that you had a question, and this one I think is really good, especially given everyone that we have here, Jody included. What was your question that you had for around Russell Wilson?
So I was saying Russell Wilson, is he still going to be around? I mean, like, should the Broncos be should he be on the move? I mean, what does Caleb Williams and Broncos drafting Caleb Williams do for the Broncos when you have Russell Wilson? He's not the issue. I got the numbers here, guys. He's 21 for 28, 223 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, and so it's just what's the point of going after Caleb Williams if you already have a quarterback in place? I know Wilson. I mean, he's getting up there in age, but we've seen quarterbacks play later in the NFL, guys. And his contract is going to be really expensive next this coming off season to move on from $85 million in dead cap hit.
Yeah.
After that, it gets a lot easier to move on from Russell Wilson. But I'm not ready to move on from Russell Wilson in the offseason. And me and Jody were talking about it a little bit in our group chat, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, the Broncos are already going to be limited in cap space, and if you release Russell Wilson because no one's trading for that contract, you're going to be setting the water. That's setting the water, and you're bringing Caleb Williams in. Where's the reinforcements around him to get him to be successful?
Yeah, good point. I mean, I was never a tank mindset ever. I guess that's not even in my mindset. I was on a little league team where I think we won like 1-9. I was playing hard to the last game. I can't imagine not that we had anything to lose or to win for, but at the same time, you go out there, you give it all every single game. So, hey, this is the question that I was thinking that was a great question of yours that you brought up a little bit earlier, and that was the fact that where do you put the success that Russ is having this year? Because Russ is having success,
right?
I've been a little bit hard on him because I haven't seen him put this team on his back, and it's been over a year since I've seen him in a Denver Bronco uniform. I've been waiting for a moment. That's why I said this is a perfectly scripted game, because I saw Russell Wilson, despite penalties by the offensive line, despite adversity, continue to lead this team, lead them to a win, get a gutsy win going down the stretch. That being said, you brought up the fact that, and now I forget where I was going on my question, but
yeah, I forgot about the question.
The success that Russell Wilson has had.
Success
that Russell Wilson has had. And Jody, I'm going to throw this to you first because I thought of you as soon as Trevor brought this up to us. The success, do you blame it more on Russell Wilson and the work that he's put in the last, all off season and up to this point? Or do you put it on, all the changes that the Denver Broncos organization has brought in, including Sean Payton, a tried and true Super Bowl winning head coach? Where do you equate more of the success that Russell Wilson is seeing this year? Is it in him, or is it in the the coaching and the system that's been brought in around him?
I'm kind of torn on this. Russ was a great quarterback for 10 years. It's not like he forgot how to play quarterback in 1 year. There are some things that Russ did that I did not like. From the reports that his agent was telling him, you can't run, you got to be a pocket passer if you're going to play in your 40s, to all the control he supposedly had last year, family the only one allowed in, all this stuff. That's all on Russ. Peyton came in day one, took that away, and he put it to Wilson. And I think Wilson is taken to the coaching, and you can see that. He's 68 comp this year, over 1,000 yards passing, 9 touchdowns. He's been playing really good. Denver has a lot of problems. He is not one of them. So I think Peyton, because the behind the scenes stuff, not so much the on the field, but hey, you can't do this. You've got to focus on this. Yes, you have a celebrity wife and some things you've focused on football.
Yeah. Yeah, it is tough to put it up there. It was a great question, Clayton. Sean Payton, obviously, for everything that we've had, this constant turnover and these new head coaches for the first time, and heck, one of them's now coming back as a defensive coordinator, and even getting heat there. That being said, we brought in a coach, and you can see immediate changes throughout this organization, top to bottom. Russell Wilson, though, everyone saw it from the minute he stepped in front of a podium. This always amazes me too. The offseason isn't that long, and for someone to have 2 months off and come back looking like a completely different human being is still just amazing to me. But that's what Russell Wilson did. He put in like 2 months worth of hard work and completely transformed who he was. I'm not sure exactly how much you want to put on each one. I will say, I'll say this. I'll give Russell just a little bit more credit, and this is the reason why. It's because of his age. He's an athlete on the field. You can draw up all the X's and O's. You can put all the pieces together as a coach. You can be smart as a 30-year-old coach, a 50-year-old coach, and Lord knows we have 70-year-old coaches like Bill Belichick out there still coaching. So, that being said, man, you can't do that as an elite athlete in the NFL just because you want to. You got to put in the work, especially as you get older. Good for him, man. I'll give Russ just a little bit more credit. Where did you come down on this, Clayton?
I think it's a little bit of a mixture of both. I think it's Russ and Sean Payton. I think that I think Russ, again, like what Jody said, he's not going to forget how to play quarterback in the NFL. And Sean Payton, he's known in New Orleans for getting the most out of his quarterbacks. He had Teddy Bridgewater, he had Jameis Winston in New Orleans, and it wasn't just Drew Brees. Drew Brees, obviously got him to that Super Bowl and was very good. He's a Hall of Famer, but I think to give Sean Payton credit, he did do the best he could with what he had in New Orleans with Winston and Bridgewater. So I think with Russ, I think it's a little bit of both. I think also Russ knew that he had to perform. I mean, you have a new head coach coming in, and there's no attachments there anymore. I mean, cap-wise, the Broncos might be attached, but that doesn't mean that Sean Payton's going to keep him around. I think Sean Payton isn't taking this Denver Bronco job and not having any sort of say on the personnel side of things. So I think Russ kind of knew that. I mean, it's either now or never type of situation in this offseason. And I got to give Russ a lot of credit. He really did come in and put his foot down and said, I can't do this anymore. I've got to be where I used to be or close to it. And so Russell Wilson, a lot of credit to him. But Sean Payton's also known, to get the most out of his quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's tough to give a lot of credit one side or the other. Both guys are putting in the work, and both guys are a big improvement to this organization. Russell Wilson, the work that he put in to, like I said, come in, be one of the league leaders now. He's got to be one of the league leaders coming out of this weekend, just statistically speaking. He's been right up there in the top 10 after week 3, even after 3 losses. And more, like I said, still more impressive to me is what he did in the second half. Sean Payton comes in. He does everything he needs to do. But, I will say Russell Wilson coming in here from the very beginning, what'd he say? Coach me hard. Coach me hard. And by gosh, he's getting coached hard. It seems like he's focused. I hate to bring it up, but he's not, quote unquote, kissing babies, and he's out there, putting in the work and carrying this team today. Exactly what I wanted to see. Clayton's just in here, and he's jumping all over it. He's loving us over on YouTube, so I got to give him a little bit of love. He's saying, jump over here and smash that like and share button, guys. And that's the second time he's done it. He did it over on Facebook. Now he's over on YouTube. I'm going to get to another one of his that he has here in just a minute. Actually, I'll do it right now because this is a great one for Jody. We were talking about this right before. Jody, how was your weekend? Did you have a good sports weekend, buddy?
It was good.
Broncos got the win.
Broncos got the win. Notre Dame, an impressive win last night over Duke, down to the wire again. And my Astros, 6 time in 7 years, AL West champs, and back in the playoffs to defend the World Series.
That being said, for any of you who don't know, I'm an Angels fan, so not really happy about the Astros taking the AL West. But man, I was really happy, and my weekend was pretty good because, again, a Broncos win. As it was mentioned earlier, hey man, you take those wins however you can get them. A win is a win in the win column, and I'll love it. I'll celebrate it. Now, I'll be like the players. We get to celebrate for 24 hours. I'm celebrating, guys. It's a win. The Colorado Buffaloes played a fantastic game. And I know it wasn't a W, but man, there's moral victories, and that's one that you get to take home and got to feel really good about. Playing that well against a top-rated team, number one quarterback in the country. Man, down to the wire, this team's going to be good. It's just the start. So you take that almost as a W, in my opinion. I felt good about the outcome, though I didn't get to watch the game. Just got to see the final score, and I went, man, look at those guys, man. They're doing good. Trevor, how was your weekend, buddy? For Clayton. Answer Clayton. Well, how was your weekend, man?
Yeah, exactly. So my weekend was pretty good. I mean, like, in Broncos win at the end of the day, and that's what matters. But I mean, tough CU Buffs loss. You'd like to see them get another shot offensively at the end of the game, fourth quarter. But they ran too much time off the clock. I think Dion. I think there was a question about Dion about moral victories. He said there is no moral victories with this team. Kind of like that answer a little bit because don't want to get your players too hyped. There's definitely stuff to work on. I think. But I'm also a Rockies fan, and their season just ended today. Over 100 losses, so going into the offseason with the Rockies. But I mean, just bright young players coming along. So overall, not too bad of a weekend.
Yeah, and you re-signed Blackman. I don't know how you feel about that, but at least you got him under contract. Charlie Blackman. He's back, baby.
Yeah. $13 million later, but he's back.
For another show, another podcast on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. So, Kurt Valente, I didn't mention it before, but Kenny, when he was jumping in, he's part of the fantastic K&K Sports Show, the K&K Sports Show. Search them out, guys. They cover all sports, like all the major sports, and they do it coast to coast. So if you want something a little bit outside of Broncos, you want to start talking some Astros on their baseball show, that's the spot, man. He's coming in here and saying, Russ, throw away all those BS second half and fourth quarter stats. Be thankful he is our QB. Getting the I don't know if that's a slow clap, the big clap, but getting them both, buddy. You're getting the claps over from Jody, that's for sure. That being said, I think I know where this is coming from because I did end up doing a little commenting on their show, and I brought up the fact that, hey, Russell Wilson was struggling. He had like a 33.5% completion rate in the third quarter coming into this game. He took 7 sacks total in the fourth quarters of games. Like I said, man, all disappeared. Perfectly scripted game, Kurt, man. I couldn't be more happy from what I've seen Russell Wilson in this game than probably his entire Denver Bronco career. This is the highlight, in my opinion. Fantastic. Needs to keep it going. Everything I wanted to see. This is what you want to see from a $245 million QB. That's the contract he signed. You're down. You're 28-7. You come back with 24 unanswered points. End up winning the game, 31-28. That's what I want to see, man. He did it. That's what we paid for. I'm loving it, Kurt, man. Absolutely loving it. So,
stacking W's.
Stacking W. Hey, it's funny you mentioned that because all I could think of is the stacking days that they were talking about during training camp. These are one of those days you stack. This is a day that you stack because it's a W. And you stack it up and you go on to the next one and you have a possibility. That being said, Trevor, why don't we drive right over to you? We'll just do a little glimpse into the future as we're leaving Chicago. We get to go back home. We get to welcome in the Jets, who may or may not have Zach Wilson starting. If they don't have Zach Wilson starting, it'll be Nathaniel Hackett and Trevor Siemian coming into town. What are you thinking about a game like that? Where are we going with this, man?
Oh, it should be a dub. I mean, Zach Wilson, he's exactly getting a lot of praise in New York. Trevor Siemian, I mean, he's a practice squad player for a reason. So I think that the Broncos should be able to take care of business against the Jets. I mean, that is a really good defense. So the offense is going to have to come ready to play. But offensively, at quarterback in particular, we got to get pressure on Zach Wilson or whoever's playing at quarterback for the Jets, because you can't just let them go back and do whatever they can on the field. You have to pressure the quarterback regardless, because they still have a lot of targets out there. Even though Rodgers is out, that team's not completely gutted. I mean, they're just I think they're quarterback away from being really competitive. And so, but that's not to take lightly. You can't take the Jets lightly. The Broncos, this is a victory against the Bears, and the Jets have been struggling, but you can't sit there and say, oh, well, this is an automatic win. You have to know, first of all, no win in the NFL is automatic, but B, I mean, you have to go out there and take care of your business. You have to put more pressure on the Jets offense, and you have to be ready to play your A game. I mean, there's no coming in, in different halves and mixture like we've been seeing the past couple of weeks. Let's want to see a full game of this team playing like they did in the second half and get a win. I mean, why not? It's Nathaniel Hackett. There should be some sort of energy. There should be more firepower now. The Broncos playing against the Jets, because you're playing your former head coach that you got fired, and so you need to be. I mean, you have to be happy for this game, especially the players that have been on the team that were on the team last year.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I get caught up on a few comments. Go back over to Jody as we kind of look ahead real quick. Congratulations to Clayton. He's coming in here and saying, huge sports weekend, boys. Won a ton of money on my bets. Let's go. Congratulations, buddy. If you're not checking out the K&K Sports Show Wits and Wagers, I know that you're doing pretty well. It sounds like maybe you could help them out a little bit. You should get in there and comment every now and then. Congratulations, buddy. He says, great family time and grilling out, as always, baby. And did a little breakfast for dinner tonight. So I like breakfast for dinner. I'm always usually sipping on my cup of coffee here usually. So sometimes that, just transition, go down and have dinner. It's like, eggs and hash browns. We're all set to go, man. So love it, man. Love it, love it, love it. So appreciate you, Clayton. Keeps coming in here and giving big thumbs up and saying, yep, another dub, baby. Let's go. Man, it would be nice to get that dub. Jody, do we have a dub in us as the Jets come in to Mile High next week? I know this is early prediction, but, I'm not looking for scores or anything, but what are you feeling, man?
Yeah. This has to be a win. You got to win this game, and 2-game winning streak headed to play Kansas City, and then let the chips fall where they may there. Turn your whole season around with a win there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle. I think Trevor nailed it on the head, man. This team doesn't have – it's not like they're stripped of weapons. Trevor said they're like a quarterback away. That's exactly what they thought, and that's what the NFL thought, and that's what all the prognosticators thought, as most people had Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets in the playoffs. So
real quick, guys, the trade deadline is October 31st. At what point in time did the Broncos sell?
Ooh.
4 games in between.
That's a great question. I'm going to answer real quick. I'm going to throw it over to Jody, but I think it really depends on what those games look like leading up. Jody, what are your thoughts, man? Are you sellers at any point in leading up to the trade deadline? When do you sell?
I'll answer that after the Kansas City game. I'm confident we win next week, but after that, see what you do against Kansas City. Even if you lose and it's a close game, you play them in 2 weeks after that, come back and beat Green Bay, get revenge. I'm probably not selling. Chargers aren't looking great. Bengals aren't looking great. You probably still have a chance at a wild card spot. So,
yeah. To answer your question, Trevor, I mean, I just have a hard time just straight out coming on here and saying I'm a seller, because let's see, I was just looking at the games a little bit off to the side. That means we have Jets, Chiefs, Packers, Chiefs before the trade deadline. I mean, if you're close in all those games, if you're competitive in all those games, I would have a hard time saying we give up because we lost a couple of times to the Chiefs. Well, that's every season for the Broncos. We can't give up every season, just because we've lost a couple of times to the Chiefs. it does get easier after that, at least on paper, you know. So, man, it's tough to be sellers, especially if you win a game against the Jets, if you're close in games against the Chiefs. I mean, you could end up even winning against, that game against the Packers in between there. The Packers aren't a powerhouse at this point. So, yeah, it'd be tough. Maybe we're not sellers. Maybe this was the game to determine we're not sellers.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I think next week's game can be more important for that as well. I mean, if you win next week, that's a good Jets team all the way around their roster. They're just missing that quarterback, and that's what they thought too. If you win that game, I think that you're not sellers yet. I think you still are at least listening on Simmons and Sutton. I think for sure, because you have to keep in mind the future as well, on top of where the team's at. Now we don't want to think too much in the future, but the Broncos have 6 picks total right now. I mean, that isn't much for their future. So I think they got to keep the door open, but I wouldn't say sell right away. If they lose against the Jets next weekend, then I think that there needs to be some serious talk about selling, because if you can't be the Jets with a quarterback-less team right now, and you have the Chiefs and Packers going forward, I hate to be the Debbie Downer, but you may have to get out in front of it and at least seriously, think about making a couple moves to get you more draft capital moving forward. I don't think you should sell the farm. I think Simmons and Sutton in particular should be players that you look to move.
Okay.
But I don't think the Broncos are going to go complete sell mode with Sean Payton.
I like it, man. All right, guys. We've been going on here for about 40 minutes. I know we're wrapping up a win. We're all excited. I also know Sunday Night Football's there. Everyone's trying to settle in for some dinners. I know I need to get some in. Breakfast for dinner sounds really good, Clayton. Now you got me all excited for that. Going to see if I can talk the wife into that. So, final thoughts before we get out of here, Jody.
I just have a quick one. I've been hammering commit to the run. After this game, I've kind of given up on that. We are not going to commit to the run. It's not going to happen this year. So screw it. Let Russ cook. If he can get you a performance like this every game, you're going to be in games, and pray that getting Browning, PJ Locke, K1 Williams, Purcell's back, Josie Jewell, that helps your defense, and the D can they have nowhere to go but improve, because when they were showing stats the beginning of this game, they are dead last in almost every defensive category, and it is. I know one game skews out a lot, but it's been bad all year. So,
yeah, 28 points probably didn't help him in this game either. At least got a little bit better on the turnover battle, which statistically should help them out a little bit as far as overall ranked defense. But yeah, a lot of work to do. I love your assessment. If we're not going to do it, then just let Russ cook then, buddy. Might be able to end up seeing that just a little bit more. Trevor, final thoughts before you're getting out of here. We'll see if there's anything else in the comments and go from there, bud.
I just think confidence moving forward. And if this is a confidence game for Broncos, and so going forward, I think that they now have the formula to win. The second half this past game was the formula to win. That was the best football the Broncos have played all season long in the second half. And so now you have that formula. Work from there on against the Jets, but do a complete game, because it's, again, the mixture stuff, the playing 2 different halves, different football isn't going to work forever. So my thing is consistency. I want to see you have the formula now in front of you to do what you need to do. Clean it up a little bit and continue to go forward and grow. I want to see this team grow, most importantly this season. And again, I think Russ is cooking right now. And I think defensively, I think that you really need to continue. It's still going to be a concern, I think, going forward for the Broncos, but I think that you see more light in the tunnel today with the defense, what they did, what they were doing against Justin Fields. And so I think going forward, I think the verdict is still out on VJ right now. I don't think that going forward you can confidently say he's going to be the DC the rest of the season, or going forward in the future. So I think the assessment of the talent on this team on both sides of the ball, Sean Payton and VJ, will be huge going forward. But I like the confidence right now in Broncos country and with the Broncos right now, and hoping for a win next weekend.
Yeah, watching the post-game pressers, one of my favorites was Jonathan Cooper. Came out there and he was asked about, just how the defense, reacted, how they came back and played a better second half. And I like the fact that he says, we didn't blink. We didn't blink through this entire game. We were together as a team. We were together as a defensive unit. You know, we had each other's back through this entire game. And all we did was we stepped up our communications and we started playing better. Man, that's exactly what you want to hear. And that's exactly the type of mentality that can propel you forward, you know, that can welcome in the Jets and get a W and put yourself in a really good position against the Kansas City Chiefs in that game. So, like Clayton says, and I just took it down, but let's go Denver Broncos for life, baby. And I love it. And I appreciate everyone that jumped in here. We had Clayton, we had Kurt, we had Leanna, we had Kenny, we had everybody that jumped in. I don't know if I'm missing anybody. I'll scroll back through just really quick, but if I am missing you, we certainly appreciate you guys a ton. We're going to get out of here. As always, we are brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. I'll throw over on our brand real quick. You can check them out on the Facebook. The Facebook is Rocky Mountain Sportsnetwork.com. Just search them out in the Facebook groups, guys. It's down there, down below. You could. That's the idea. You can also check out RockyMountainSN.com. That's RockyMountainSN.com. That's where you're getting everything Rocky Mountain. So whether it's Broncos, Avalanche, your Nuggets, or your Rockies, you know that's your hub, baby. That's where you go to get all your coverage. So check them out there as well. And of course, over on X, you can always check us out on X. Kills me trying to get that in my lingo, but check us out on X as well, Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Also, guys, said at the top of the show, WillowSeasonings.com. That's Willow Seasonings is our sponsor. WillowSeasonings.com is their fantastic website. You can jump over there and get your award-winning rubs, sauces, and spices, guys. They're Blue Ribbon Award winners. They're Denver Bronco fans. They're veteran-owned. They're Colorado-owned. They're giving you 15% off if you hit the promo code DBR2023. That's DBR, stands for Denver Bronco Roundup 2023. 15% off, plus they're pitching in a little bit for a family in need over at Rocky Mountain Sports Network every single time you use that code. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate the sponsors, guys. Until next time, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. Trevor's getting out of here. Jody's getting out of here. You can always catch the Denver Bronco Roundup on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock, but as always, guys, keep you guys know it, your feet in the stirrups, your guns in your holsters, and the Broncos in your heart. We'll check you next time, guys. Take care.